Now, sometimes the MacBook turns on, but it's misbehaving. It shuts down randomly, or it runs slow, or something like that. More often than not, you would just see something, bad battery, a trackpad, maybe it caused these sort of, you know, miscellaneous issues. This machine has some liquid damage on the board, and I see a few problems. And really what we're going to do on this sort of thing, that's my donor board. We're going to pull parts from that guy later. This is our patient. It's got a mess, and I think primarily our issue is the corrosion around these MOSFETs near the CPU. I think they're doing current sense or something or other. Let's see what this guy does. Yeah, so it's current sense for the... This is basically just a buck converter. And it's taking this 1 volt line. Oh, it's outputting 5 from, what, probably this 5 volt. So it's taking that, and then it turns that into these, 1 volt lines. Okay, well, there's some stuff on here that looks ugly. We're gonna swap it out, and then we'll ultrasonically clean the board, and then we'll test it afterwards. Primarily, I want to probably replace just both of these MOSFETs right here. And then I think these guys right over here, we'll just go ahead and swap these out too. And the back side of the board, surprisingly, is clean. I don't really see any kind of built-up corrosion on the board anywhere. I believe this is a 2017 board right here. So we're just gonna get flux on those parts, remove it, and then we'll pull parts from a donor board, replace it. We're also putting a new battery in this machine, since it is intermittently not detecting the battery as well. Alright, we got our hot air at 430, 120 airflow. So maximum overdrive. That's what we're generally using on a MacBook board. They can take the heat. And I'm going to go ahead and not blow hot air into my CPU. So I'm putting it this way. I'm right-handed. Well, I like to have my tweezers on my right, hot air on my left. So we're going to take off both of these guys. And I reckon we'll go ahead and take off this guy and this guy, and we'll swap all those guys out. I believe we have everything we need on our donor. Cool. Alright, we're just gonna get flux on our areas. Now, really, you know, I mean, generally, let's say this wasn't liquid damage, you would suspect stuff like this, you know, MOSFETs around the CPU, or just some MOSFET somewhere, some sort of intermittent randomly fails, that sort of thing. You're probably not going to just have, you know, a dead short circuit on a rail. Yeah, we'll probably just swap out this guy too. But we would suspect, you know, something is, you know, intermittently not doing its job. There very well might be something else on here that maybe isn't as obviously, you know, unhappy looking. But we are going to ultrasonic the board as well, so hopefully that will kind of clear. We basically have 4 QFN chips we're going to remove and replace. And then we'll reassemble this and test, see what happens. seems like, you can smell it. It's like burnt sugar. Probably soda or something like that spilled on this. Perhaps Dr. Pep. I don't think we can really tell at this point. It's a mystery. Came right off. Go ahead and get our new parts on while the board is toasty. I'm gonna get some flux on my donor board. And really the areas underneath these chips all look, you know, fine. We just kind of had this mess around these parts. We're just going to swap them all out to be safe. And get some more flux. All these guys. And I'm going to lower my airflow down a little bit. Really what I'm doing, I'm actually going to go back on these with higher airflow once they're more or less on there, just to make sure that, you know, all the joints are really properly on. I think this might have... Oh, there we go. Alright, my airflow again. I'm going to go back over those guys once more. Good looks. Good looks. Good looks. And then we're gonna get a Q-tip and some alcohol and clean off, you know, most of this mess. And then we'll toss this in the ultrasonic cleaner, get it back together, and test it. And then, right after this, I'm going to fix a different MacBook that'll require me to think more. Not too much, though. We don't want to hurt ourselves. Alright. Fix MacBook. Good. Okay, now we're going to toss this ultrasonic. I think it'll be fine. The stuff that was corroded makes sense that it would cause it to do weird shit and turn off randomly and run slow and blah blah blah. You know that, or maybe our CPU's dead. Hopefully not that. I'm going to take off the heatsink now on this, and I wanted to leave this heatsink on. You know, while it's not like it's super close proximity, but it still is hot air, kind of near the CPU. And we don't want to hurt the brain, the big brain of the machine. So we're gonna toss this in the ultrasonic, and then I'm gonna fix another MacBook while this one's doing stuff. And we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We ultrasonically cleaned the board. Probably gonna reassemble this another day, really, and test it. But I just wanted to show the difference, you know, after the ultrasonic cleaning. I had to sneeze. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, let's look. My microscope cam does not want to work right now. Okay, come on, buddy. All right, the microscope camera was misbehaving. But just generally on the board, right, this thing had spots and just kind of a big mess, you know, soda stains all over the thing. It's going to have a little bit of this lining. After we do the ultrasonic cleaning, we essentially just douse the board in isopropyl alcohol and then put it on a little flat preheater just to evaporate any water that might be left on there. So you don't want to run power and there's water under stuff, basically. We can see, though, it's a very big improvement. And much cleaner, and what the ultrasonic cleaner will do is it's essentially, you know, pushing fluid under chips, you know, like our CPU, just in case we had a little mess under there, under our SMC, you know, stuff that's maybe a little bit more tricky to clean. I'm gonna clean that guy off with a little, you know, Q-tip. But you know, the board looks much better after the ultrasonic cleaner. It'll get rid of any flux residue that might have been on there. This one little IC's bothers me. I'm gonna do that. Unacceptable. But you know, generally, right? Everything on here looks quite a bit cleaner. For whatever reason, these two chips right here had a little bit of staining. But the ultrasonic cleaner is, you know, very useful. Get all your flux off of it, and you know, the flux can be harmless to a degree, but when you have a lot on there, it's the sticky substance that can, you know, build up liquid and you know, or essentially, you know, accumulate a bunch of dust, and then, you know, liquid gets on that and ruins other stuff, and it does corrode over time. So you really don't want to leave that residue on there. So when it's something like this, where we used quite a bit of flux, there's chips all over the board, it's best just to ultrasonic the board. You know, if our issue was, you know, 3V4 too short, and I just had this cap bad, well, you know, probably just clean that off with a Q-tip, as long as we don't have a big mess all over the rest of the board. And especially for ones like this, where we did have liquid damage in several different spots, kind of going across a large distance, we want to do that just in case we have any corrosion maybe under a chip we didn't see, and we can clean it that way, and we know it's you know, nice and clean, basically. And then what we'll do to test this essentially is run the Apple Diagnostics test, and then we will run you know, a workload for the CPU. Essentially for about 10-15 minutes. So if we don't see any crashing, any kernel panics, we should be a-okay. And in their case too, they had said that it would, you know, crash sometimes after quite a long time, like an hour of being on, it would turn off. Then when it turned back on, we'll probably just let this one run a video for a few hours. That is a process that is boring, and this will just be sitting in the back of the office running some software. So we won't have that in this video, but we'll do that once we confirm it's, you know, a-okay, and we'll you know, let the customer know it's ready, and then come pick up their MacBook and keep using it for MacBook things. We'll see you guys next time. Catch you later, Busters.